Understanding call sheets. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazingly talented, beautiful wife and best friend, Brooke. And there she is. And now on to our topic. Understanding call sheets. Before I jump in, I want to give a quick tease to stick around at the end of the video when I give a quick tip on how to use call sheets to improve your experience that first day on set. Okay, so this might seem like a pretty straightforward topic, especially to those of you who've been on numerous sets. But that first time you get a call sheet emailed to you, it can look more confusing than doing your taxes. So let's dive into the elements on a call sheet that will matter to the actor. First thing to notice on a call sheet is the crew call right here at the top in big letters. Now, it is almost never your call time, but it's nice to know when the crew is expected to show up that day. Incidentally, this is for the untitled Marlon Wayans project that I did many moons ago. Eventually, it was called Naked. And you can see why they kept it as the untitled Marlon Wayans project during filming. Kind of weird to come up to a business and say, hey, can we film here in your hotel? It's a movie called Naked. We promise that it's not an adult film project. Back to the call sheet. Now, sometimes that crew call will be actually after your call, if maybe you have a lot of special effects makeup or you're doing a fitting before the shoot that day. But most of the time, the crew call will be before you are even supposed to arrive. The point being, it's almost never your actual call time, so don't get that crew call confused as the time that you need to arrive on set. And speaking of your call time, it's pretty easy to find that on any call sheet. It usually appears about halfway down in this little block where you'll see the cast, character, status, pickup time, report time, makeup, hair, ready time, and then either remarks or notes here at the end. Now, I will find my name. I was number 21 on this call sheet. I was the concierge, and I can scan across and see that I have a 7 a.m. report. That just happens to be the same time as the crew call. Now, you will usually see an RPT or a pickup next to your call time. If you are shooting locally, then you will almost always see RPT, which means you need to report to the production at that time. If you're on location somewhere and you flew in and they put you up in a hotel, then that will usually be the pickup time where they pick you up from the hotel. Now, let's say that you are local and that it says RPT next to your call time, 7 a.m. RPT. That is the time that you need to be present and accounted for on location or on set. So if you're doing a fitting that day, that is not the time that you arrive at parking. That's the time that you arrive at the first PA that you find who can say, hey, Matthew is here on set, or Matthew is here at the production office. So if crew parking is not the same as base camp, or it's not in the same place as the production office, you need to account for that time. Now, there's not always a map associated with the call sheet, but usually, hopefully, you were sent one if you are expected to self-drive to set or self-drive to the fitting. So double check where the crew parking is, where the base camp parking is, and if there's any confusion about where you're supposed to park, clarify that ahead of time. What you don't want to happen is arrive at base camp 15 minutes early, only to be told by a security guard that you can't park here. You have to go to crew parking 2 miles away. And then you do, and then you have to wait in a van for all the extras and all the crew to get on that van. And by the time you get back to base camp, instead of being 15 minutes early, you're 15 minutes late, and you've got the second AD texting you saying, hey, Matthew, where are you? So clarify ahead of time where it is you're supposed to park so that you know that you can get to where you're supposed to be by that report time. Okay, so now I want to go over some of the abbreviations you might see in that status column right there in the middle. So if it's your first day on set, you'll see an SW next to your name, which means start work. If it's your last day on set, it'll say WF, work finish. That's your last day on set, womp womp. And if it's your only day on set, it'll say SWF for start, work, finish. Now let's say you're just there to do a fitting that day. Well, you'll likely see something like FT in your status column. And if you're on a longer contract and today is just a hold day, then you'll have an H there in the status column for hold. And the good news there is that even though you're not working that day, you're getting paid for that day. If it's an out-of-town shoot and that's the day that you're supposed to be traveling, you'll see a TR in that status column, meaning travel. Those are the most common abbreviations. There are some less common ones that I want to go over just in case you come across them. Things like W/N. That just means will notify. So let's say you're on a weekly contract, and so you might be working today, but they're not sure based on the locations and the actors and the schedule. So they're just going to tell you that your will notify, which means you start out at home or wherever you might be staying, and they'll call you at some point during that morning or early afternoon to let you know whether or not they need you to come in. If you see a WD in the status column, that means work drop. And don't worry, it doesn't mean that you're fired. It just means that in your contract, there are going to be some work dates at the start of your contract, and then a gap of time where you're not working, and then maybe a couple more dates at the end of your contract. Now, depending on that gap, which I'm not going to go into these nuances here, they don't have to pay you, and they can do what's called a drop pickup. They drop you for a certain amount of dates, and then they pick you back up. So if today is the last day of your first block of shooting, then it might say work drop, or WD. Likewise, when it's time for you to work again, you might see a PW for pick up work, or a PWF if it's going to be your last day, pick up work finish. The thing to note here is, unlike hold days, when you have a drop and then a pickup, you are not getting paid for those interstitial days. So now let's go above the cast list to the scene schedule. This lays out the order of events for the day. Now, they reserve the right to change this, but this is a good indication of when you should expect to actually be called to set. You'll see the scene descriptions, the scene numbers, the cast that'll be in each scene, whether this is supposed to be a day or a night scene, and the number of pages with a space for notes. Now, if you see a little PT next to the scene number, that just means they're shooting only part of the scene and not the entirety of that scene. So the rest of that scene might be shot at a later time, maybe because something needs to match that they just can't do today, or for various other reasons. You'll also notice that in the pages column, everything seems to be in eighths of pages. And that's a convention in the industry that no matter how long the scene is, it is always represented in multiples of 1/8 of a page. Now, when you're looking at this schedule, always double check your scenes. See, you can find your cast number here in the cast column. I was number 21, and I quickly scan up here to see where I fit into the schedule today. Okay, I'm not in the first or the second or the third setup. Oh, I'm in the fourth setup, and that seems to be it. Good, that's what I expected. Sometimes you'll see your number appear in a scene that you weren't expecting to, and that can give you information of, oh, maybe I'm in another scene that I just didn't realize, maybe as sort of background or maybe for some sort of continuity. Looking for your number can just help you get your head wrapped around what's going to happen today. It also tells you that if you have that 7 a.m. call time, but you are the fourth scene on the list, you're probably going to be sitting around for quite a bit of the day. So get comfortable. Hopefully you brought a book or a charging cable for your phone, and don't get into wardrobe unless you are expressly told to do so, because you don't want to wrinkle it or just be sitting around uncomfortably for 5, 6, 7 hours. Oh, and as a little side note, next to the cast numbers, if you see a K, that means that is a child under the age of 18. And if you see an X, that means that they're a stunt performer or a stunt double. I don't think the X means anything else. If it does, someone drop a comment below. Now I want to mention a couple other sections on the call sheet that can be helpful for actors. Check out the shooting notes section, which is usually below cast, any backgrounds. It'll be below that section and above the advanced schedule. In there, it's just for curiosity mostly, but you might see something that references your character, a prop, or something in the scene that you were unaware of that might need clarifying. There's a live snake in my scene? It's also interesting to see how many extras will be on set, what shooting day it is, because if it's day 1, everyone's going to be happy. And if it's day 45 of 90, you might get some attitudes. The nearest hospital, the advanced schedule if you're in tomorrow's scenes, or that there is no photography on set. Actors, please hear this. Please read that on your call sheet and then reread it and then reread it and then listen to it. I mean, I get it. I'm tempted to take photos too. And if you're going to, do them in your trailer when you're out of costume, or if you're in costume, then please do not post these photos until after the project has aired. And if you are anywhere outside of your trailer, do not take a photo unless you are expressly given permission to do so by someone from production. And if you do take that photo, make sure that whatever you're taking a photo of doesn't give anything away, and anybody who you want to be in the photo with you has also given you their permission. Because even if they're a local actor like you, they may not want to take a picture. They may, like me, not want to be in a bunch of photos that might end up on the internet and then make me look bad even though I had nothing to do with the photo. Okay, so that's the bulk of what's important on the front of the call sheet. Let me briefly mention the back of the call sheet, or if they printed it on 2 pages, it'll be the page 2. Now on this page, you'll see a list of all the different crew departments and all the crew members who might be on set that day. First, just stare at it and be amazed by how so many people from virtually every trade and craft on the planet have come together to create magic. It's truly an amazing thing. And speaking of all those people, this brings me to the tip that I teased at the beginning of my video. So even if production already emailed you a call sheet the night before, ask for a double-sided one when you get to base camp, if it's not already in your trailer. The first page of the call sheet will likely be on those mini sides that they often put into your trailer by default, but still ask for a full call sheet. Why? Well, if you're like me, you forget names easily. But if you carry this call sheet with you as you're going through the works, i.e. hair and makeup, then as you're meeting the hair person and the makeup person and of course the base camp PA, you can start to double check these names on the back of that call sheet so that you can start locking them into your brain. Then after you've been through the works, you can start to review the names of the people you've already met, from the base camp PA to those hair and makeup, to the wardrobe person who might have interacted with you at the fitting, to the driver who took you from crew parking to base camp. Then fold it up, put it in your pocket, and take it with you to set, because you're going to meet 1 to 2 people from the sound department. You're going to meet the director of photography and or a camera operator, a second AD, a first AD, the director, producers, possibly maybe even a writer. Oh, and then there's Scripty, the script supervisor, somebody from props, if you have any for your character. You might meet new people from hair and makeup that are attending to the actors on set, etc., etc., etc. You easily will meet 25 people that first day on set. And it'll make you feel more at home if you can actually learn their names before lunch. Some of them already knew your name on arrival, some learn it, some forget it, but you can't control them. You can control how present you are, how respectful you are, and how you make them feel like their contributions, not just to the whole project, but to your personal experience, are appreciated. Trust me, that goodwill builds over time. There's nothing that makes you feel better than to arrive on the second episode of that project or coming back after a drop pickup and everyone greets you enthusiastically, welcoming you back into the family. The same also goes for when you start to see the same crew on the next project that you do, and they go, "Oh my gosh," and they can't remember your name, but they remember the experience of working with you because you were such a top-notch person. Just treat everyone the way you think Mr. Rogers would, because you never know when that DP will become a director, or that director will become a big-time producer, or that writer will become a showrunner, etc. Okay. So for the seasoned pros out there, what did I miss that is on a call sheet that is important for an actor to know? Just let me know in the comments. Also, as always, if you have any questions or something wasn't clear, drop a comment below. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.